right. And welcome to On the Bench with Big Jim. It is Friday, April 5th. And it's going to be a great day and a great start of a great weekend. Just going to make sure. Take care. Good morning, Joey. Oh, it's not. Good morning, Robert. How you doing this morning? Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate you doing that. Good morning, Frank. Good to see you. Yeah, kind of a serious subject. And Joey, I just sent you your invitation to pop in. So loud buzzing. We have buzzing, huh? I don't know what to tell you there. Good to see you, Junior. How are you doing? Let's see if we did any. Frank. Good morning, Joey. How are you?
Doing good, Jim. How are you this morning?
I'm doing really good. You can hear me,
Good.
obviously. So
yep, I hear you loud and clear.
Welcome to On the Bench.
Thank you. Gosh, it's great to be here, and I'm glad to have you back on the air again, Jim. This is great. I'm happy for you.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. Thank you, Frank, for doing my sound check for me. I had one of our watchers helping us out there.
Oh, good.
So today, folks, I have with me I would say Mr., but you're an executive there at the Grant County Sheriff's Department. So give me your full title, Joey.
So I am the Chief Deputy in charge of the Corrections Division over here at the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, Chief Deputy. So they call you Chief Deputy Kriete or Joey Kriete, or do they call you Joey or Hey Dude? Or
well, it depends on how long they've known me, Jim. I mean, I've been here I've been here forever now. So
all the guys that have seniority, it's more on a friendly basis, huh?
Yeah, it seems to be, which is great. I love it that way.
Our good friend Junior Alvarado just said we both have good faces for Facebook, so I hope that's a compliment.
I thought he was going to say two great faces for radio. Was what I thought.
Well,
he would say.
that's usually was the joke. So
right.
But yeah, it's better to have a happy disposition and have friends and enjoy life than to be a grumpy pants. And sometimes I'm accused of that. But so folks, today I have Chief Deputy Joey Kriete on the show with me today because I'm kind of gonna. This is where we get serious. May 19th. A deputy officer in Kittitas County, Ryan Thompson, was on a call. He was responding to a call, and he ended up being killed by the person that they were chasing, and it got me thinking that we need to talk about this. We need to discuss what it is we can do to improve the working environment for law enforcement. And so I contacted Chief Tom Jones, um, Sheriff Tom Jones, and uh, he was all in. He wanted to have this discussion. He had some meetings today at an
Yeah, he
office
does.
down in Mattawa or somewhere. So I immediately I was like, I know who I can ask because I have a good relationship with you, and so that's
Hmm.
how this all got started. I just to preface this, I had also thought, well, I would like a police officer as well because in the same incident, a police officer was shot the same night. He survived, and but it's not just the sheriffs. I mean, you guys work in tandem. You
Yeah,
also
we
work
do.
with the state patrol
Hmm.
when the boundaries cross, and when there's assistance needed. Anyway, so I thought I would also have Officer Juan Lueta on, but he had a family emergency, and he's down in Salt Lake City with some family, and so
Hmm.
he's unable to be with us today. It's it's just you and I, Joey, today as we discuss these matters.
That sounds good. And before you start, I want to wish Juan and his family the best down there with the stuff they're dealing with their family. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I echo that as well. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. His nephew was in an accident, and um, so to get on with this discussion, you know, let's find out a little bit about you, Joey. How long have you been in law enforcement? And I know the answer, but I would like you to share that with everybody. And I also want to find out what was it that influenced you to get into to be a sheriff?
Okay. I was actually fortunate enough as a young kid here going. I grew up in Ephrata. I'm a local kid. I've been here forever. My dad grew up here. My grandmother grew up here. Our roots are pretty deep here in the Columbia Basin. So, um, but years ago when I was growing up as a kid, I had friends. Their dads were deputies, and my neighbor was a deputy and a chief deputy with the sheriff's office. I've kind of grown up all around it. My neighbors up the street worked for the sheriff's office. He was Earl Moreland was a longtime boat operator. I remember when I was a kid, he always had boats parked out in front of his house, and Mike Shea always had all kinds of the sheriff's office equipment parked across the street from when I was a kid growing up. Larry Yaunt, I was always over at his house as a kid, so I was always around it, Jim. I never really thought at the time about going into law enforcement. I think I had every young boy's dream of wanting to be a major league baseball player. I was a baseball guy, and
Right?
yeah, I kind of got my first sample of law enforcement my sophomore year of college. I joined the sheriff's office, the reserve organization for the sheriff's
Okay.
office, just to just to get my feet wet to see if it was something I liked. A good friend of mine, John McMillan, who was just getting into law enforcement himself, and he was an influence with me, and we grew up as kids together, so we always talked about it. So I jumped in with the reserve program in 1993, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I knew that's where I was going to land, absolutely. So I stayed with it since 1993. I was a reserve with the sheriff's office for about 8 or 9 months. Then I got hired full time, and I've been doing it ever since. And I've worked patrol. I've been a major crimes detective. I've been a sergeant. Been in the traffic unit. Now here I am as a Sheriff Jones appointed me as a chief deputy with Corrections Division now. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so. What 93? So that's 26 years now.
26 and a half years. Yep.
Oh
It's
wow.
gone like that. It's gone fast.
um, Probably takes you a little bit longer to get out of bed in the morning, though,
A little bit now.
than it did. As I was rolling off of my mattress this morning, I was like, man, those old days would be nice to get up and not feel the aches and pains of just sleeping during the evening.
Right,
Um,
right.
so you've been doing this a long time, and
Yeah.
uh, you obviously. uh, have gone through this uh, thing that I had mentioned earlier with Deputy Thompson over in Kittitas. You this has happened in your career with people that you knew, and
Hmm.
uh, give us give us your thoughts. Obviously, what happened on the 19th of March probably brought back some pretty tough memories.
Yeah, there's definitely been your high points in your career. There's probably two things that I just was asked this question about 2 weeks ago when I was speaking to Dave Ruffin's class over at CB Tech over there at Moses Lake. Questions they asked me were what are some of the things that you don't like about your job, and I can actually narrow it down to two. I'm pretty sure. Um, the first one is any crime that has to do with young kids or children being victims of crimes. Those are tough to deal with because if we all think about it as society, those are really about the only true victims that we really have are kids. They haven't really developed the mental
Yeah,
capacity to do
to
things wrong
understand.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those one that's probably that's right up there, and the other one is when we lose one of our fellow officers, especially somebody that you've known for quite a while and become friends with. Um, I experienced that probably three key times in my career. The first one was with Jim Saunders. He was killed in 1999 down in the Tri-Cities. He was a trooper here and worked in the Frederick area, and I actually knew Jim when I was in high school. We competed together against each other in sports. He went to school up in Leavenworth for Cascade, and I played baseball and sports and all
Oh,
kinds of things in Ephrata. So he's a local
yeah. You
kid. He
guys were.
was. Um, we were in the same league way back when. Anyway, Jim transferred down to the Tri Cities, and he was actually shot and killed during a traffic stop down there in 1999. So that was that was my first line of duty death that really hit home with me. That was a tough one. That was very difficult. Um, Even going through the service down there in the Tri Cities, we took our honor guard down there, which I was part of the honor guard back then, and well, I shed a lot of tears that day. I mean, it was an emotional day, and every time we sit and we honor our people that have fallen in the line of duty at least once a year for Memorial Foundation that we do a fundraiser we do every year, which is coming up actually next week for us. And it's quite a celebration and an honor to be part of ton officers, deputies, and troopers that we have through this state. Second incident was one that actually hit home with Deputy John Bernard. He died in 2010 in a motor vehicle collision here in Grant County. It's our only line of duty death that we've had. That was a horrible day. That's a day I will never forget. That The days leading up to the service were very difficult emotionally. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster. We worked with the Behind the Badge Foundation, who does come into these agencies, who also went to Kittitas County, helped them prepare, not only prepare the family, but prepare the agency and help plan the services and all the honors for the fallen officers and deputies. And that was the same case for John Bernard for us. Behind the Badge Foundation came in to help us out, and what an absolutely incredible organization that we have available to us in the state for line of duty deaths here, which is I can't say enough for that organization. It's absolutely amazing. Um, anyway, for John, that was very difficult. Again, like I said, he was one of our own. I worked with John. Um, that was a tough day. That was a real difficult day, and at least at least once a day, I have kind of a moment with just John and I. We have in the front of our office, we have a picture of him above our copy machine, so everybody sees it every day when they go up there. We have a
Yeah.
slideshow presentation that plays in the front of the office for us to just to kind of go take a minute, to remember and think about those things that are important to us. It's this career is bigger than you and I, Jim. I mean, it really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
it's a lot bigger than you and I. And then, and when you break down to the Kittitas County incident, that one, I didn't know Ryan Thompson personally. I didn't. My partner Derek Gregg, who's also a chief deputy here, he's on the behind the badge response team, and he actually was the incident commander for that service over there this last week. And Derek and I've talked quite a bit, and he was able to spend a lot of time with the family, with Ryan's family, and it was nice to hear the type of person he was. And I know you know a little bit about him. He was a wrestler at
Yeah.
Central, and
And,
gosh, just I'll tell you what, just go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say that when you're speaking about the services, I
Hmm.
Como television showed the whole thing on their Facebook page,
Oh, good,
and
good.
I happened to just see it, and it was like, I don't know, 5 6 minutes in, and I thought,
Hmm.
take a look at this, because I had been thinking about this, and I've been thinking about our discussion, because this was just last week,
Hmm.
and, I couldn't turn it off.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm not one for funerals because it's a hard thing, but
Hmm.
um, the procession and the respect and just I couldn't turn it off. I watched the entire thing, and
Hmm.
um, the stories about how when he first came to Ellensburg as a wrestler, um, Coach Kevin Pine introduced him to
Hmm.
a guy there that ended up becoming really good friends, and uh, he told him a story where Ryan got in the back of a Jeep and they drove up to the top of the mountain, and he was in the back,
Yeah.
and he ended up, except for where his goggles were, he's completely covered in dirt.
Covered in dirt.
And yeah, and he was totally in on going out and doing things and having fun, and
Hmm.
he lived life to the fullest. And um, the fact that he left three little kids and a beautiful wife, and parents. For parents to have to lay to rest one of their children, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to see that.
No,
And
no,
it's
it's
just
yeah.
it has affected everybody. But it was a wonderful service, and the honor guard. Can you said something earlier? Well, yesterday when we were talking about you guys helped start this honor guard in 1996. Tell us about that.
Yes. So in '96, we just a group of us. It was gosh, I'll try to remember everybody that was part of it. Myself, Sheriff Tom Jones, at the time Tom Percy, who actually transferred over to Snohomish County, has since retired. Um, Rick LaGrave, I believe, was part of the unit, who currently works for us as a corporal. I know I'm forgetting a couple guys. But anyway, there was about a group of six of us that decided to start an honor guard. It was there were other agencies in the state that was doing it, and we've heard about it. And the friend of mine, Tom Percy, who was in the unit at the time with us, he came from the Marine Corps, and he was part of the Marine Corps honor guard when he was
Okay.
in there. So that really helped us out a lot. It really did.
Because he had some
So
experience. He
we
had some experience with it, and so
yeah.
yeah. But I imagine everybody just said, yes, this is something we need.
Yeah, so we jumped on board. We donated our time to do it. We tried to round up as much formal uniforms that we could. We didn't have the fancy tunic type jackets now that we have. It was you cleaned up your duty gear the best you could and had some shiny shoes, and that was about
Yeah.
it. But
You know, I
we
think
we it was.
I think the intent is what is important.
Hmm.
I think the fact that you guys were just getting started, I don't think they would have minded the fact that you guys were in your regular everyday uniforms, because your intent
Right.
was into honoring people who deserve and are owed um, some honor and gratitude.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree completely. I don't think anybody had any idea that we were kind of piecemealing it together. Um, but we very quickly started becoming involved in these services that were happening all too often across the state. And now with the honor guards we've had now, we've sent guys down to services out of state. We've sent them down to Louisiana. We've sent them down to Dallas.
Oh wow.
Um, so it's quite an honor to be part of these services, and they are orchestrated so well, and
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I get goosebumps talking about it,
I,
just
I,
talking about
I,
it. So,
that's the first one that I had seen, or I'd
hmm
never been to one, but a service for a fallen officer. I was, I had, I just thought, let me take a look. Uh, I had some interest
hmm
because of how I feel about this behavioral problem that we have in our society. Uh, and so I looked, and I couldn't tell her. It was an awesome thing, showing the respect to the family and to Officer Thompson, well, Deputy Thompson.
yeah, it was an amazing service. Those guys did a great job, and just to be present, to be part of it, and watch it unfold was just an absolute honor to be there. It really was. It was quite
And
an
and,
amazing service.
and
Yeah,
that was the gymnasium at Central Washington University, wasn't it? And it was packed.
yeah, it's
It
Central.
was it was jam
Well, they
packed.
had They had the gym packed there, and I believe they had another overflow area at the university, but then they also had an overflow at
Oh.
Cle Elum High School.
Oh,
So
so people watched on
it
video.
was,
Yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
it was huge. It was huge. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I know I was watching it with a bunch of people on Facebook because I kept seeing the ticker go up and up and up and up, and
Uh-huh.
there was a lot of people watching. So it was kind of cool that Como did that. Um, uh, so now, getting on with this discussion that we're having. Um, what uh, you know, there's so many things I want to ask you. Um, First off, you yesterday you told me about a program that you guys used to do where you would go to schools and you would
hmm hmm
help kids get out of their cars, and then later in the day you would help get kids into their cars and make sure they were buckled up correctly and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about that program you guys had.
So back in 2006, when I was still part of the traffic unit, we became very big on child restraint safety through the state. It was a big push through the state, and it was actually for us. We had some pretty critical collisions here that involved some improper restraining of some kids and some cars, and so we jumped on board with the Traffic Safety Commission, and we got some seatbelt technicians, some car seat technicians, that we would go into the communities and set up time to we'd give out car seats to families that were less fortunate. We would take the time to install seats in cars. We would inspect car seats, on all sorts of things, but we also even took that one step further, and we would actually visit the grade schools, and we would go to the parent pickup areas of the schools in the community, and we'd visit with the families that they was come in and drop their kids off. We would make sure that the kids were buckled correctly, and if parents had questions for us, we'd ask them questions. We weren't there to write tickets at the schools. That's not what we were there for. We were there to help educate people to make sure that our kids were going to be safe in the cars, when they were riding with their parents or grandparents or whoever it may be. We also took the time to go visit the kids during the day and took our motorcycles there, let the kids come sit on them, and took their pictures on the bikes, and just to get out and get have the kids get comfortable with us. We'd go on the playgrounds and visit them and things like that. Um, I know we have these, and when I talk about this, I don't want anybody to think out there that I'm degrading any program that any law enforcement office or the police agency has in their community, because anytime you can get involved with kids, it's an outstanding program anytime. Um, I would like to see some more involvement in our grade schools though, and I think the reason why I say that is I think the kids are still young enough that we have more of a positive influence on them
Yeah,
than we do by the time they're in middle school or high school. I mean, if you think about your kids, I mean, and I can speak for my kids, but the experience with my girls. Um, Now that they're in middle school now, and my oldest one's off in college, they've pretty much established their personalities, their influences, and how they're going to be, and how it just they're kind of set in their ways now, so to speak. Um,
They're getting that way younger and younger just because of the technology that
they
they have access to.
yeah, they really are. And so for us to now start sending our law enforcement into our middle schools and high school, I think it's great. I really do. I don't want to take anything away from that program because I think it's amazing. But as far as us talking about having law enforcement give a positive influence onto our kids, and I mean actually influencing them. I'm not talking interaction. I'm talking having guidance that they may not have other places. I I think that a better place to start that might be in the grade school era, where you still have a fresh, open mind with these kids that are more willing to accept these these influences or guidance that may be out there. Um, and that's what we were trying to do, is branch out into the grade school and try to get a little bit of that. That's what we're trying to do.
And it's interesting because uh, your daughter just posted that she's really proud of you, and I can
Oh,
see that she's been raised right uh, to see you having a positive effect on our society by helping kids grow up and
mhm.
learning how to behave right. And that's what I wanted to discuss today about this. So it's kind of
Yeah,
a cool thing.
yeah,
I,
I'm pretty firm believer in the kids of our in our community and our society. I volunteer and coach baseball here in Ephrata. I'm part of the board of directors for the Moses Lake Rattlers Softball Association. I help coach a team on there too, and I've been part of the Boys and Girls Club. I'm really passionate about kids because they're our future. They really are.
sure.
They're who is going to lead or who's going to take care of us when we get older. Not that we're not old. I mean older.
Older.
So
That's the correct term.
I guess I'm probably a little bit more passionate about our future leadership in our communities than a lot of other things. So yeah.
And that's why I wanted to have this discussion. So in getting to the brass tacks here, what is it we can do? What do we need to do? What do we, as me as a average Joe citizen, what can I do to influence others so that uh, they show and garner a respect for law enforcement or people in
Hmm.
authority? How do we
Oh,
change? How do we change the mindset right now? Because the internet is full of videos of people accusing law enforcement of doing crazy things, and and
right.
I'm not discounting that there are some bad apples, but there I would say the vast majority uh, are out to protect and serve as the badge says,
Hmm.
trying to help people. And what can we do as a society to create a more friendly working environment for you guys, the law enforcement folks?
Well,
That's a
I'm going to
tough
do the
question.
best I can.
Okay.
That's a tough question, and I think if I had the golden answer, I'd probably be a very rich man. But I
Yeah.
don't. I don't have the golden answer to that. But I I may be able to shed a little light on some things, and I can speak for our agency. In our community in the Grant County, Columbia Basin community, I think as far as law enforcement, we are very, very, very fortunate, extremely fortunate. We have huge, huge support from our community, big, big time. We really do. We value our community. We try to be as transparent as we can with our community, even if we do make mistakes out there. We'll post that stuff on our Facebook page and our social media. We try to be as transparent as we can, and Sheriff Jones has done an amazing job of that transparency. I mean, first of all, we're human, okay? We're not these robots that out here work in these uniforms. We're actually human. We have feelings, we have hearts, just like everybody else does. But the process to get hired in law enforcement is pretty. it's pretty difficult. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It takes about 3 months for somebody to go through the hiring process of to be a deputy here at the sheriff's office, and that's after they test. That's post-test stuff. That's not even counting the testing process. But just the process to get hired, you have to go a very, very extensive background investigation. And by extensive, I mean sometimes it lasts 3 months. We have specially trained background investigators that, if you lived somewhere in the Midwest for a period of time, they're going to find out what you did in the Midwest when you were back there living there. These guys dig deep into people's histories to find out what type of people we're getting in our agency. We
They
have
need to. They
psychological
need.
examinations
Yeah.
people have to go through. Oh,
Yeah. They need to.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They have psychological examinations they have to go through, polygraph examinations they have to go through. We also have a probationary period of a year that people have to successfully make it through before they can be like released on their own as a deputy here. So I don't know many other professions, and I don't know all of them that have that extensive of a background before you sign your name on your contract, able to go to work. So we try to vet people the best we can, and we have amazing employees here. We absolutely do. We have a cream of the crop here for the Grant County Sheriff's Office. We absolutely do. I'm very proud of the agency that I work for and the people that work for us. They're absolutely outstanding. Um, do we as law enforcement have those? I wish I would have pulled up the percentage before we had a talk, but I forgot to. But if I remember right, I think the percentage of, I guess if you want to call it bad law enforcement, is less less than 2%, I think. If
Well,
I if I remember right,
I
don't
mean,
quote me. I know it's pretty low.
but
Again, we're not all human.
there, right. And there's a bad apple in every business, and um,
Sure, sure.
but the problem I see is that these people complaining are, if there's one bad one, they're all bad, and that's just
Right.
that's ignorant, and that needs to be confronted, and it needs to be, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't the status quo. We're not dealing with when you have a problem. And the other thing that gets me, and I know we're probably tangenting off here, but when you have these big issues, there's a gun violence issue if there's
Mm-hmm.
a shooting, but they don't talk about the person. They don't talk about the behavior of the individual. It's always
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's fault. It's always some other causation that has brought this on. My I, what do we have to? And I'm asking you a question you don't have an answer for, just because it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to what is presented to us in the media, and the media. And I don't consider myself media, but and that's why I wanted to do this, is so to help get this out, is that the media is the one that shows what they want to show, and that is
Yeah.
people complaining about the arrest, or the cops were too rough, or what have you. They don't talk about the behavior
Mm-hmm.
of the individual. The problem that I see is that we don't focus on the person that's accused of committing the crime, or if it's been videotaped, the one that did the crime. We're not
Mm-hmm.
talking about we're not talking about their behavior. What do we need to do to talk about this behavior? And hopefully this at least we can start a conversation, because it's ridiculous that the media is reinforcing uh, the imagery that law enforcement is given, which is a
Mm-hmm.
negative, and that counteracts all of the programs that you had talked about earlier in trying to instill confidence and a good relationship with our law enforcement. Um, but do you have what do you think we can do? What I mean, you guys have a PR person or someone
Yeah.
that is assigned to talk to the media,
Hmm.
what is their approach whenever confronted or whenever asked to talk on the news? Or
Well, we use we have a couple PIOs here that are actually on volunteer basis, but they're they're amazing. They really have a great relationship with the media. Um, I, I think for us, as far as the Grant County Sheriff's Office goes, um, what has helped us get the support in the community here is because we are so open. We try to be transparent on things. We try to share a lot of information. We try to share information before other people can share information that they've gathered about it. I mean,
right,
we want to be accurate with the information that we share. I mean, we all of our guys have these body cameras now, from the sheriff down, uh, that we wear those every day when we have contacts with people to make sure we are doing the right thing, and provide evidence in cases that we have. When I first started, body cameras, nobody knew about body cameras when I started, for gosh sakes, nobody did. The other thing now is one thing that I firmly believe about people in general. I don't think anybody gets out of bed in the morning and just presumes bad intent on anybody. I think
right.
in general, as society, we wake up and we want to have a good day. We do.
Oh yeah,
Do we always operate at 100%? Yeah, probably not. We probably like to go strive for 100%, but we don't
yeah.
always operate at 100%. I get that. But um, there's I don't think I think you hit it right, a little, right there, is when you said that people don't want to talk about the people that should be accountable for their actions.
Right.
And it seems to be steered away from that, and there's a lot of deflection that seems to be going on. I think there's a lot of judgment that gets casted prior to the whole story being brought out. And I think we've seen that not just locally at times, but I think the biggest portion we're seeing is nationally. You're seeing a lot of these stories be
Yep.
released that the complete story is not out there, and you see a lot of judgment happening. I know the media's job is to release the facts that they collect during uh, their job and their findings, that when they find information on stories. But a lot of times that's only the surface. It's pretty tough for people to draw a conclusion of something, and I'm not talking just about law enforcement. I mean even defendants as well. It's pretty tough for people to draw an accurate conclusion from the very first story that's printed. It's very tough. I think that there's got to be
That
the bigger picture coming out. So.
and I would agree with you, but there are
Mhm.
a lot of people who see that first little clip and that's their impression.
Right.
And that
Mhm.
impression is, oh, gun violence is due to the gun laws that we have or the
Right.
gun laws that aren't being enforced. We're not talking about the person that, and everybody's seen that the story where the guy has his rifle on the porch, and he says,
Yes.
"Yeah, I
Right.
left it there today, and that rifle hasn't gotten up and shot anybody today." It's
Right.
not the implement, you know, uh,
Mhm.
an axe, a bat, any type of weapon.
Mhm.
It's the intent of the individual, and
Right.
that's what's not being focused on, and that's what I see that's getting worse in our society. It's there's people who aren't doing the things that are right, and they're the ones that are causing calls to the sheriff's department or the police department.
Mhm.
Hey, you need to come check this guy out, and to be fair, this gal out, and
Mhm.
uh, and take care of them. And then when there's that interaction between law enforcement and this uh, person that's not behaving correctly, bad things happen. And what I don't want to see is another one of these Ryan Thompson instances that, uh, as you have dealt with this, and the people there in Kittitas are dealing with now, the overall effect of that loss is, I don't think it's calculable. I don't think you can calculate how much
No.
negative effect it's going to be on all those people. Now, some people can turn negatives into positive and make them stronger people. And I hope that that's what happens with the family. But but if we my goal is to find a solution where everybody can wake up and be happy and get along and live with other people. It doesn't matter what political persuasion they are, or what color they are, what religion they are, where they went to school. That none of that matters. The fact is that, hey, we're all in this together, and if we can live uh, amongst one another and behave properly, then uh, we can all be happy. I used to be an athletic trainer, and
Hmm.
I would people say, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I go to work and hope I don't have to work, and it's a good thing."
Right,
And then
right.
I would say, and I, just like police officers, just like firemen, just like sheriff, they go to work and hope they don't have to do anything. That means nobody's starting a fire, or there isn't a fire or an accident, or nobody's doing something wrong where they have to go to work. Uh, and when you have that situation where you're in a position to help people, but you don't have to because nobody's doing anything wrong, that's
Hmm.
a great thing.
It
That's a
is.
great day of work because you get to go home and be dad and be coach and be Joey off duty and enjoy life. Because and that's what all
Hmm.
of this is about, is doing what we do in life that makes us happy.
Right.
I think I you know and something else I wanted, and I'm sorry I got off on a tangent there, but a little soapbox action with all of this. This recent one, just last month, we're not even a month out. Did it cause you to reflect? Did it cause you to doubt? Uh, is it worth all of the risk in doing your job? Share, you and I had a really good conversation yesterday about this, and I wanted you to
Yeah.
share your thoughts on that.
Um, I like I said, I've been doing this now for 26 plus years, and I can truly say that I've loved every day that I've put my uniform on. Have there been better days than others? Absolutely, without a doubt. Um, but I'm very proud doing what I do and who I do it for. I love my agency. I'm very proud to wear the uniform that I wear and where I work. I'm very proud of our community that we live in. I really am.
And we have
Um,
a great
but
we live in a special area. That's why I
we
moved
really
here.
do. I mean, we're very fortunate here. We really are. But I'll tell you, when that happened to Ryan Thompson and Kittitas, um, it for the first time in my career is when I really started thinking about my future in retirement. And I don't feel like I'm ready to retire yet. Like I said, I still love doing what I'm doing, and I've heard from friends of mine that have retired. They said you'll know when it's time, you'll know. Now that's not a very good answer, but I guess I'll just have to wait and see when that happens. But uh, I I've rarely had that thought until that happened with Ryan, and we we're dealing with a lot different people nowadays. When I started in '93, it was rare for us to have somebody in our jail for murder. It was rare. It was absolutely rare. Now, to tell you the truth, I don't even know how many we have over there. I really don't. I'd have to look and really
But
narrow it down. But there's
it's a number that's substantial.
it, it's a num yeah, and
Yeah.
the number of violent crimes is higher now than it ever has been. We may have some crime trends that are down, but if you talk about the seriousness or the violence behind these crimes, it's increased. Just to put it in perspective a little bit for you, as far as line of duty deaths go for police officers, in 2008 we had 10 years ago, well from 18, we had 163 officers die in the line of duty in the nation. Of those, 41 of them were from gunfire, and 35 of them were from motor vehicle collisions. And typically, through that period of time, gunfire and collisions kind of ran pretty close with each other, okay? It was pretty similar. Well, in 2018, we had 52 officers die from gunfire and 26 from motor vehicle collisions. So it's now doubled. So as you can see, the violence towards law enforcement now, even from 10 years ago, is much more violent now. I think some of it has to do with the generation of people we have now in our communities. We live in a world now of likes, okay? We do things to try to get our likes measured on social media. We do. Um, and people will do some crazy things to get stuff liked on social media. They share their lives now more than ever before. Um, I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. I really don't know. I think there's a lot more exposure for things that are happening in the world that gather more attention. And
and
I,
and and with all of that social media influence, I
hmm
believe it's creating people who feel like they can either be disrespectful to authority or question why are you questioning me? I haven't done anything wrong. Well, if you hadn't done
hmm
anything wrong, then you have nothing to worry about. And so let me find
right,
out why you're here in this scenario that we're looking into. What's the problem there? And that confrontation is what I've seen, because I probably watch too many YouTube videos and look at these kind of scenarios where bad behavior conflicts with law enforcement, and
hmm
uh, it's becoming more prevalent. And so, and now that it's being videoed, it's like, oh, this being sensationalized, and so yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm gonna be I'm going to catch this cop or this sheriff or this state patrolman doing something wrong, and that's not the right attitude. If you're behaving
right.
correctly, you should never be in a situation where you're going to be approached or questioned by a law enforcement officer. And
And even
and
when they are being questioned, we want to move on, and we want to conduct business as quickly and efficiently as possible. We don't want to spend time with anybody any longer than we absolutely have to. We don't want
right,
to do it. We do not want to be exposed to that or expose other people to unnecessary time, uh, more or less away from their schedule, honestly. I mean, we
right.
we want to be as efficient as we can to do our job as law enforcement. And when that becomes hindered, it becomes a longer interaction that we really don't want. We
And it's a
really
waste of
don't.
your time, right? And you want to get on with it. And but the
hmm
prevalence that's going this way, we need to counteract this. I think we need to do something, and that's why I wanted to talk about this today. Have we come to a conclusion? Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's like I said,
Because
it's a difficult topic. It really is.
it is, and uh, you know, earlier one of the comments was talking about something. Some of this has to fall on the hands of the parents. We need
hmm
parents teaching proper behavior. The other thing
hmm
is, um, it was a great comment. Uh, the problem isn't law enforcement. The problem is people and their lack of respect of others. And not only the lack of respect of law enforcement, but no they have no respect for other people's rights, because
Correct.
it's all
Or other
about
people in general.
it's all
hmm
about them. And those people, I want to try and knock some sense into them, because
hmm
they're I and I don't want to pigeonhole, but those people are what's causing long days for people like yourself, and
Hmm.
uh, and that increases the risk factor of your job because there's no telling which way they're going to go. And if we can if we can come to a consensus of, hey, yes, you have lots of freedoms, but you don't have a freedom to infringe on somebody else's freedoms. And so
Correct.
you need to consider yourself uh, where it's not only about yourself, it's about everybody. And um, I just I hope that people can take away from this is that if we treat other people like how we want to be treated or how we would treat ourselves, then I think everybody can get along better. And um, and you guys are arbiters in that you're making sure everybody's treating everybody correctly. And if they're not,
Hmm.
those people need to be dealt with. And that's your job. The problem is those people who don't care about other people's rights and they infringe on their rights because they feel like they need that set of tools in the garage more than the person who owns the garage does.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Um, those people are the ones that we need to have access to this discussion so they can see that what they're doing is not how you it's not how you behave. It's not how you live in a
Yeah.
society of freedoms and
Hmm.
peace.
Right. There's going to have to be somewhere down the line, whether it starts with parenting, the judicial system, wherever it starts, there's going to have to be some accountability somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there seems to be from top to bottom, and who I don't know who made the comment. I'll have to check it later, but um, I've seen that there are some parents out there that will not hold kids accountable. It's out there. It does happen. That comment is absolutely, it's accurate, very accurate.
So
My
accurate.
kid, my kids will probably be the first to tell you that they were definitely held accountable for things.
Yes,
Sydney, if you're listening, I know you'll agree with that. But
she's been
um,
listening and
the thing
commenting.
is, yeah. So having them being held accountable is helped develop them into the people they are today.
That's
And
right.
and also that goes into also the judicial system as well, I believe. That if we're not holding our people accountable to things, then what there's no fear of any repercussions for them doing something. And when there's not,
Yeah,
I don't it's not going to change. Until there can be some
yeah.
accountability, I just don't know if it'll change. So,
And that I
um,
think that's the agent for change is making sure people are held accountable for their actions.
mhm.
And um, and so we as society, we need to make sure we're voting for people who are going to make people responsible. And
Mhm.
um, the pro and you brought this stat up yesterday when you said 33 counties voted one way and 6 counties voted the other
Oh,
way. What was that stat you
yeah,
gave me?
we got, I believe we have 39 counties in our state. And there's been, and I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with the different political races that have happened in the past throughout the state, that there's been times where, 33 of those 39 counties had voted one way, but the actual outcome will sway the direction of the 6 counties. It makes it tough for us to live on the west side and have a different way of living. And it is. It's a different way of living over here. It's a different type of society that we live in. Um, the whole blanket of the state of King, Pierce, and Thurston counties don't always apply to the mindset and the way of living in Grant County, so to speak. It's a different type of area. I'm not
Completely.
saying the same rules shouldn't apply, but it's just a different type of area. And so that makes it tough for a state to be controlled by a specific area and a specific mindset. It makes it pretty tough,
It
I think.
it really is, and I
Hmm.
think hopefully we can convince people that the way it's been run recently here in our state of Washington, uh, I know I know there's been a lot of talk about another 51st state, but I I, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But what I do know is that if enough craziness happens, people will see their craziness and finally wake up, and that's what I'm hoping. I hope they see their craziness, and that they in turn uh, decide to be accountable and
Hmm.
do what's best for everyone. And I hope what comes of. Do you have anything else
I'm
you'd
hoping
like?
that.
And let me look at my sheet. I want to see. I want to make sure I got
Okay.
everything. Um, I think I've really enjoyed this, Joey. I really appreciate your
Yeah,
time. And
it's been fun, and I I know I wasn't able to give a direct answer on those difficult
oh,
questions, but like I said, I think, you know, honestly, I think it's a bit, I think it's more of a global answer of, and I think you've said it already a bunch of times. If we just start treating people the way that the way you would treat your mother, okay? The
right,
way you would treat your family. And keep in mind, I don't believe anybody, I truly believe this, I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning with the plan on really making somebody else's life miserable. I don't believe anybody has that in them. It obviously turns that way eventually somehow, but I don't think when people wake up in the morning that they have that plan, so to speak. I think generally people are good people. I really do. I think there's influences outside of people's lives that have an effect on how they behave. But I think in general, I like to believe in my little world that people are that they're good people and that they have good things within them. Um, I just like to see a lot more of that come to the surface, and hopefully it'll happen sooner than later so we can change what is happening in our society to not just make it safer for law enforcement, but I want to make it safer for everybody that lives in our community and within our community.
that's awesome.
That's my goal is to make
Uh,
sure that that's happening. So
uh, I'm gonna have to read your daughter's comment. She just commented on what you just said, and she's got a great sense of humor. But uh, Chief Deputy Kriete, I certainly appreciate your time. But Joey, you are a good friend, and I cherish the fact that I can still remember uh, seeing you across the line of scrimmage in the Guns and
in the
Hoses
football
game,
game.
in the Guns and Hoses
Yep.
football game. I that's one of my memories. Is going out and blocking that. I cherish our friendship. Hope you have a safe day. I hope all of the guys that work in your office I hope that they're safe, and I pray for that continually.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
want
Jim.
to thank you for the time that you've been so graciously to offer the viewers here on the bench with Big Jim, and thanks for being a part of the show. And we'll have to get. I saw Tom Jones peeking in earlier, checking on you,
Oh, good.
obviously. So he was able
Good.
to see some
Right.
of it. But this is something that can be played back. It's always going to be on Facebook. It'll be on my Facebook. It'll be on the bench with Big Jim's Facebook.
Okay.
Once I share it, your daughter shared it. Some other friends have shared it. Please, folks, share the video so people in your
Good.
circle can see this, because the things that we discussed today are very important, and hopefully we've asked some questions that can help influence people to do good things and to make our lives safer and to make the lives of our law enforcement personnel, first responders, all of those people, that they can be safe in their duties in protecting us. Again, Joey, thank you so much. This has been fun, and
Yep.
looking
My
forward to
pleasure. Thank you.
when you can take me out to lunch. No, I'm kidding. We'll just have a bar. Maybe we can get Junior to cook us some tacos, and
There
but
you
we'll have
go.
a.
That's what I'm talking
We'll,
about.
I'm looking forward to that next time. All right, man. You take care,
That's right.
and
Will do, Jim.
I'll talk to you again. Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate
Take
you.
care. Bye bye.
All righty, folks. That was great. Uh, um, I that was a wonderful discussion, and I'm grateful that this opportunity to do these shows, to have me on the bench, and I want to thank those that have been willing to support me so that we can do these shows. And first off, I want to thank Jay's Teriyaki. Jay's Teriyaki has been was our first sponsor, and appreciate them being willing to share uh, the opportunity to have the show in our community. Jay's Teriyaki is a wonderful place, family for lunch. Have some of the best. Well, as far as teriyaki go, I don't know if there's that you can get uh, a better meal. And so you can download the app. This post that I just made. You can go to their website and Jay's Teriyaki, great place for lunch, great place for dinner, great atmosphere. But you can also get it to go. Their phone number is in the discussion there, but it is 509-764-5155, and it's not Ash. It's Alder Street, not Ash. Um, Also, I want to thank uh, my good friend Nick Crisculio at Frederick in Moses. Uh, uh, Frederick's Jeweler has been taking family heirlooms and making them into wearable jewelry for decades now. They've been involved in taking care of needs since 1953. Amazing. Long before Nick and I were born. But if you have any jewelry repair or jewelry requests, go down and see Nick at Frederick's Jewelry, right there on 3rd Avenue here in Moses Lake. It is a great place to find fine custom-made jewelry. He does all of his own work, and is a wonderful it's a wonderful place to get your jewelry taken care of. Our next sponsor is Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile in Moses Lake. You can go down and get some great offers down at Boost Mobile. They are on Broadway and I'm trying to add this as quickly as I can, folks. But Boost Mobile has a wonderful selection of phones and deals, and they're at 301 East Broadway Avenue, there in Moses Lake. Their telephone number is 509 765 4298. And they can take care of all of your mobile phone needs. And they also can help get your mobile phone repaired. Conveniently, so you don't have to send it off. Go down and see them. 301 East Broadway, Suite C in Moses Lake. And their number is 765 4298. And then lastly, if you are in need of local merchant service assistance, give me a call. 509-750-5676. I am your local TSYS merchant service payment processing service agent, and I can take care of all of your needs as far as merchant servicing, POS equipment, and I provide you a local customer service agent, so I can be here to help you with. If you're tired of wondering why you're getting charged excessively in your merchant services, you need to give me a call, and I can help you out. Again, had a wonderful day today. I appreciate y'all being involved and being here and listening. Again, the Big Bend Community College Viking Booster Club is hosting Building the Dream dinner and auction tonight at 5:30. Yesterday I posted a list of all of the items that are going to be auctioned off tonight in the silent auction and in the live auction. Chuck Yarborough will be auctioning off all of the items, and it is a great list of things. In fact, just a couple of those things. What happened here? Oh, I lost. it. The auctions stuff. Domino's for a year. Once a month you get 2 large 2 topping pizzas once a month for a year. An opportunity to watch the national championship game in a private home theater, and dinner. Also, some Seattle Mariner tickets. Also, wakeboarding lessons from my good friend Mitch Poth. There's also a lot of 10-pin prizes that they're auctioning off. You can also they're auctioning off some sod, 1,500 square feet of sod, Silverwood passes, a Columbia River fishing trip, which is pretty cool. Rib dinner and movie for 8. Prime rib dinner and a movie for 8. That sounds pretty good. Also, there's Eagles Lakes Lodge is doing a fishing or duck hunting trip for 4. And then my good friend Junior Alvarado with AQ Barbecue is going to be, we're going to auction off a taco feed for 50 people. And some of the best tacos and all of the fixings for 50 people. That'll be a great item to get. Also, there's a Cabo San Lucas trip that they're auctioning off. And then some silent auctions. There's baseball clinic and basketball clinics, volleyball clinics, wrestling clinics from the schools. Um, there's an HVAC system service plan that they're auctioning off. There is Mitch Haniger baseball, autographed baseball, Edgar Martinez autographed baseball. There are some a fly fishing case. There's also a trap shooting trip. It's a pretty cool deal that they're going to be auctioning off as well. And we want to thank all of those who help support the Big Bend Viking Building the Dream dinner and auction. And you can still get involved. The information is on the post. It's on this post. So go out and support Big Bend Viking Booster Club and the athletes out there. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in today for being here with me throughout. I appreciate you all. Monday, we're going to be visiting with my good friend Patrick Selleck. We're going to talk about the autism walk that's going to be happening May 18th. The Grant County Society of Autism is going to be hosting their annual walk, raising awareness of autism. And I want to thank everybody for being with me today. I appreciate you all, and you all have a great one. And we will see you Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, and take care. I think I got everything. Have a great one. We will see you on Monday.